Hey, how's it going? Today is Sunday. We're taking a look at finance. It's something I'm looking to do every single Sunday, or perhaps later on I'm gonna be looking and doing something like that every weekend, where we can take a look at different support available for businesses. Sometimes finances might come with some of the requirements to do something, right? I wish they would just give you money, right? But not necessarily needs to be limited to money. But let's start with money, and we can work from there, right? You might need access to people, perhaps facilities, perhaps to research and development institutions. So there's so many different things, but I don't want to make it too complicated, right? Let's start with finance and what kind of financial opportunities are available up there. Within this video, let's take a look at zero emission generators, Z-Gen. Let's try to understand this opportunity and what it has to offer. Organizations can apply for a share of £2 million opportunity, including VAT tax, to develop renewable integrated replacements for fossil fuel generators in official development assistance (ODI) countries. I have seen so many different opportunities in different parts where there are some developing countries. Why it has to be limited to those countries? I don't know, organizers and what those organizers have in mind, right? But either way, so you yourself as an organization, you would be working on the early levels of technology readiness levels, and you yourself you would develop a working prototype, and from that prototype you can progress into perhaps establishing some of those partnerships with some of those countries, and that perhaps would help you to secure first 100 sales, if anything. And from there you can progress into other countries, but either way, I'm not entirely sure about the way how this contract has been structured, so be careful when reading a contract or signing anything, right? Let's cover this opportunity in more detail. Let's start with the description. This is a small business research initiative. Competition is a part of the Zero Emissions Generators, or Z-Gen, program, which aims to support renewable energy-based alternatives to fossil fuel generators. This competition is developed by Innovative UK on behalf of Department of Science, Innovation and Technology. The aim of the competition is to demonstrate capability, applicability, and scalability of integrated renewable alternatives to fossil fuel generators. This is a single phase competition, so there won't be further phases. Within this particular phase, you yourself you might need to close the project, right? In application of this competition, you are entering into a competitive process, so there's going to be more people that you yourself as a organization going to be competing against, right? This project needs to start on 1st of April next year, and you need to close this project with 6 or perhaps 12 months. This project can involve prototyping, demonstration, or field testing of your innovation in an eligible official development assistance (ODA) countries in Sub-Saharan Africa, South Asia, and other Indo-Pacific countries. So we're looking to improve that. Perhaps this organization is operating within those countries and we have established partnerships, and perhaps that's where the funding will come from. Perhaps that has something to do. Otherwise, I'm not entirely sure why would they limit only to supporting just a handful of countries, right? Plan to be installed in ODA eligible countries for testing and validation within 6 months from the start of the project. Ensure that ODA eligible countries are primary beneficiaries of the innovative. So this need to be so that's where everything needs to start. Okay. Applicant to lead the project, you can be organization of any size, work alone or with others, from businesses to research organizations, research and technology organizations, or the first sector of the subcontractors. So that I'll skip some of that information since there's so many different information. So why Would anyone be interested in some of those opportunities, or perhaps why would not everyone can take part in those opportunities, right? So I'll be sharing more detailed description of this opportunity in description below of this video if it's something that you yourself interested in. Otherwise, I myself, I'll just try to understand this opportunity as well as perhaps share some details. Other than that, I don't know. It seems that they might be limiting, so you might need to put a lot of work into developing something like that. But I don't know if you don't have much to do right now. Might as well do some of those projects and make some money, quick money, but within 6 or 12 months only. So it's not 5 years, right? And I'm saying quick money. There's the work involved, right? And the eligibility criteria and all those things, right? But myself, I don't see a bigger picture of the developing something like that, perhaps in the future, but not right now. But I'll still cover some work in more detail. I think I have read this opportunity. For me, the reason why myself I will not necessarily be interested in doing some of those projects is just I think I read the legal agreements, and they would like to take away the work that you would do. I think they would like to take everything away from you, so not necessarily you would have any rights into that work, right? So myself, I think that was the reason why myself would not necessarily be able to work just for money. And myself, I would like to work on the bigger picture and have rights in something that I would build. So, but that I'm not entirely sure, right? It has been some time. I was focusing on many things sometimes at the same time. I think that's opportunity, but either way, so there's a opportunity available. Let's touch on scope of the project. The aim of the competition is to demonstrate capability, applicability, and scalability of integrated renewable energy alternatives for fossil fuel generators. This competition is a part of Zero Emission Generators (ZEGEN) program, which aims to advance renewable energy-based alternatives in countries that currently under development or using fossil fuel generators. Myself, I have seen a number of different projects that some of those people are doing or supporting some of those projects. Some of those projects would be clean water, perhaps having lights in the different cities, right? We're talking about remote locations, right? And they're constantly looking for different solutions, and perhaps there might be a lot of interesting people who finding some of those solutions perhaps that has something to do with it. So if anything, I like to bring more attention to some of those opportunities, in particular for people who can find any better opportunities, right? It, myself, I would read some of those contracts. I would not read more for perhaps 10 or 20 minutes, half an hour tops, right? And just move to the next one, move to the next one, move to the next one, until myself I would find something that myself I would be interested in. But if anything, I would like to share that there are so many different opportunities out there, right? Some of those areas, right, how it could be energy be produced, and perhaps how energy can be stored, right? Production of energy and storing of the energy. I was taking a look at perhaps it's something worth revisiting. So many different ways how it could potentially be done, but it depends. It depends where you are, right? So perhaps it's if it's something that you're constantly working on and building interesting things, perhaps there's some of those things, right? When it comes to energy production, how it could be produced as well as how energy can be stored. So I was thinking about hydrogen and perhaps green hydrogen, right? So that would be ideal, and it would cover two areas of supply chain, and perhaps that would be one of those ways, but not necessarily within this time frame, right? Not necessarily with 12 months or so that can be delivered and done, but there's different projects, right? Let's take a look at some of those areas that they look project managers or people who put this project together they would like to cover within a potential prototype that would be the deliverables. Be an integrated technology capable of replacing one or more fossil fuel generators. From there, be safe, flexible, and appropriate to multiple applications. From there, plan to be installed in ODA eligible countries for testing and validation within the 6 months from the project start date. Okay, so perhaps that would be a part of the project where will be some testing involved. So if it actually works, right? From there, be affordable, reliable, and low carbon. From there, target commercial, domestic, public sector, or humanitarian use case where fossil fuels generators are the only source of electricity or used as a backup for unreliable grid. Okay, from there, charge using AC or DC renewable generator technologies or from the grid as a backup. From there, be scalable or storing energy. When we're talking about scalable, so if it's something that will be produced, I don't know, on the river, by water, so perhaps not necessarily would work when it comes to scalable, right, technology. So it would potentially be, it can be like a sort of box, right, hundreds of boxes, and it can move around, but not necessarily would fit with within perhaps different ways how this problem can be solved. Utilizing local supply chain where possible, adequately replace fossil fuel generators, since there's a lot of solutions which is not necessarily adequately. I know what this person is referring to. There's so many different ways how it could be done, right? So I know what this person is trying to say, that that's not the optimal, that's not optimal, that's not optimal, since they already have been there, done it, at least some of those people working in some of those sectors, right? Plan to manage the reuse and or end of life processing of replaced fossil fuel generators. Propose end of life plan for the renewable alternative development within the funding. Contracts will be given to successful applicants. So perhaps they look into for a top five or so, right? So the budget they have to work with. But I'm not entirely sure about all this contract and this opportunity. But perhaps if it's not for me, perhaps it's for would be for others who are interested in doing such a project, right? If you'd like to learn more, I have published a book, Game Strategy. In this book, I'm sharing a lot of information with the people who are interested in learning more, and particularly when it comes to business and learning everything what has to do with business. I would break this book in perhaps three different areas if you were or if you have to in real life, right? Learn as much as you can about business before taking action, right? So that would be a sort of research phase. From this phase, you yourself you would need to progress in actually taking action, setting up a business and operating as a company, and that would be taking action phase. From there, once you have operating business, perhaps, hopefully, at some point you would have a lot of resources, and that will be a third phase, and how you're allocating some of those resources and investing in different projects. You can find this and more within this book. There's a QR code in the corner as well as company's website below. Quick story, right? So sometimes I would find, I don't know, so somewhere online on some of those platforms, people who are actually working in the basements, they're developing, they welding, they building something, right? They would start with the smaller vehicles for the kids, perhaps, right? And they would progress into bigger projects. Since they have all the knowledge when it comes to building some of those projects, right? But that's again, I don't know if they have necessarily know-how expertise when it comes to perhaps scaling some of those projects. They would be able to build very interesting vehicles or equipment, but from there might be lacking some of the know-how when it comes to perhaps scaling some of those projects. If you yourself you're interested in working together, perhaps if you see yourself operating in some of those projects, feel free to reach out to me. Perhaps we can do some great things together and close some of those projects very fast, right? Within 6 months, right? Three people. Within 6 months, we can close those projects very fast. Perhaps cash in. I guess I don't know. Since perhaps again, who I'm talking to, it's just a handful of people, not necessarily a lot of people are interested in doing something like that. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.